you very much for the invitation, and just take the opportunity to talk a little bit about the lab in Valencia that we are. I am managing with one of the biggest labs in the world, and just to take the opportunity to make a show about our clinic in Valencia. So I have organized for you a tour of the lab. Just would like to show you the lab in which we work in Valencia. This is the way that we have the lab in Valencia, and this is the location of the places that we have. This is the place for the tanks for liquid nitrogen, and again, we are one of the biggest labs in the world in the number of tanks of nitrogen, these gas tanks, and we have more than 2,000 samples per location. Then we have another place in which we manage all the shipment of the samples everywhere around the world. We have a lot of exchange of oocytes and embryos all across the country. And then this is the place for embryo tubing. When we do the biopsy, the tubing is done there in a separate location. And afterwards, I will show you a little bit about the lab in which we work. This is the main entrance. We have two theaters in which we work. And you see the location of the two theaters in which we are working actually. We work in two theaters at the same time in order to make the procedure quicker and to be able to do two oocyte retrieval in the same moment. And then I will go directly to the main entrance of the lab. This is the other theater. Everything is located in the third floor. This is the main entrance. And here we have a place for the time lapse. We have a clinic is full time lapse. We have incubators of time lapse and Jerry's. And this is the location of the places in which we do the ICSI. We have 10 micro manipulators in the lab, which is one of the biggest labs in the world in the number of cycles. We're able to do almost 8,000 cycles in the same location. And the way that is everything organized, we have incubators for standard patients that we do here in that place, we do all the oocyte and embryo warming. We have the Aztec incubators, and also we have the time lapse, the embryoscope. And in that location, we do the embryo transfer. We are very particular in the embryo transfer. I will show you how we work with those. And this is the place in which we do all the embryo vitrification. So it's a short tour of our lab in Valencia. Again, we are very proud about this lab because it's very well developed, and we are actually one of the clinics with better results in the world. Well, this is the way that we work with the patient. We use isolates. We don't use standard cabins. Everything is done inside, which gives us more chance to keep the conditions stable, no changes in the temperature and the CO2. And this is the two theaters that we work together. Again, the idea is to have two theaters to be able to perform oocyte retrieval at the same time and try to finish earlier every morning. And our setup is basically done with time lapse, but also we have standard incubators, so we have everything together, but all our cycles are done with time lapse. And the other video that I have you here is of the cabin that we work for transfer. We do the transfer in another level, so we need an elevator to put our patients there, and we do the transfer in a standard room. So instead to do the transfer in the theater, we do in the rooms. So we take the cabins and we put inside of the room and we do the transfer there. There's not any clinical need to do that to improve the results, but we have seen that increase the satisfaction of the patient because we don't need to take them to the theater. We can do directly in the room, so it's more comfortable for them. So let me go to the initial presentation now. Talking a little bit about the KPIs. I mean, how we can keep things under control. This is very standard, but we are in a VITROMED booth, and it's important to talk about the control conditions and how in every lab we have to take special attention to the temperature in the surfaces in which we work in the cabins, in the workstations, in the microscopes, in the incubators, in the fridges, in the gas tanks. And of course, also everything should be controlled by data care. And there are hundreds of ways to control the temperature in the lab, in the surfaces with many devices that we can use for fridges, incubator surfaces. I don't think that there is any brand especially that works better than other, but of course we always need to find those type of solutions, including temperatures of surfaces and proofs for the liquid nitrogen tanks to be sure that everything is well controlled. So at the end, we have hundreds of tests everywhere, and everything is connected to data logger, which is under control, with the idea to have everything well controlled and transmitted. Of course, this data logger is providing us direct information for each one of the tanks and surfaces that we have in the lab, and is keeping us the situation under control. And together with that, of course, we need to do measurements of the pH. And again, there are many options to measure the pH with conventional, with the MTG, with EPOC, with others. It's important to keep the pH under control and measure the pH every time that we change the brand. And of course, everything is related with the way that we work. You can do it in the big incubators, you can use tubes, you can use the EPOC, you can use MTG. There are many proofs available. All of them can fit on your work. The important message here is always to keep the situations under control. And you know also that the pH is important, and there is a timing of pH stability. When we produce the dishes, we need to keep it at least 4 hours in the incubator. When we take it out, in 30 minutes is plenty enough to keep the pH stable, so we can extend our time of culture. And then regarding the incubators, there are several proofs, depending on the place that you work and depending the things that you do. And those proofs on those tests that you have can help you to control the incubators that you have. And again, there are several brands available, and all of them used to work well. And I have some videos here they work well to show you how we measure the temperature in the cabins, or we measure the temperature in the microscopes, or we measure in the surfaces with the standard proofs, with the thermometers. This work can be done daily or can be done every week, depending on the amount of work that you have and the number of incubators that you have. So I have bring you here some videos of how we do it every day, this check of the temperature, and in the cabins and in the microscopes and in the surfaces. So together with that, also we measure, of course, the CO2, and you have to measure the CO2 in the cabins, in the isolates that we work every day, and we use this measurement that we don't need to do every day, but we need to do regularly to check everything is under control, or if there are variations in the temperature in between the locations, in between the cabins. Of course, also we have the embryoscope, and the embryoscope or any other time-lapse incubator, we have to measure the CO2 in that way. And it's very easy, very friendly. This is the embryoscope plus, and then we have the standard embryoscope 2, in which we can measure also very easy the CO2 concentration with the standard proofs. So this is nothing outstanding, but it's something that you have to do regularly in order to keep your results of your lab very controlled. Of course, you have the benchtop incubators, or these are incubators that we have inside of the cabin. There are other ways to measure too, with the same type of sensor. And these are the benchtop of Aztec that we measure also with these proofs. So all these options are possible to measure CO2 and oxygen. Again, we normally have a plan to do it regularly every day, and you know that you spend 30 minutes, 1 hour every day checking all these temperatures in the lab. And then, of course, you have the computer. In the computer, you can have an overview of all your devices, all your systems, all your incubators, all your surfaces. So you can check in real time the results of the test of each one of them. And then, of course, you can have alarms. When you have a problem, everything can be detected. And also, you need a plan. For example, this is the plan that we have. Because it's a big lab, every day we check some of the incubators. We don't check all of them. Every day, we have a tour of some of them, and after 15 days, we cover everything. And if we see that there are differences in some of the results, we take notes, sometimes very manually, and if there is something that needs to be corrected, we correct. So talking about a little bit about results, just show you, I mean, this is quite deleted, but I'll show you how important it is to have a report of your results every day, of your fertilization rates, of your blastulation rate, the results, your objectives, your alarm limits, which are your average every month, which is your trend, if you're going up or you're going down, for fertilization or for blastulation, especially in useful blastocysts, because it's very relevant to know not only your blastulation rate, what is your proportion of good quality blastocysts. The same for the results of the survival in your vitrification program, your survival rate, your oocyte survival rate, especially in our case in oocyte donation, your average every month, your trend analysis. You have to evaluate this, under control everything. And then if you take a look to the results, the type of patient, implantation rate in patients below 37 years old, like a reference, implantation rate in the regular PGTA patients. Again, you need to have your benchmarking data, your RLAR levels, your objective, your trends, your data every month. And well, in the case of our clinic in Valencia, because we do a lot of oocyte donation, our results of the oocyte donation program, and our multiple pregnancy rate, which is important because we are mostly single embryo transfer group, and 90% of our patients are single embryo transfer. So in summary, my intention was to show you a little bit about our lab in Valencia and how important is the quality control, the quality management, which is above everything, the quality assurance to know that everything is under control, the quality control that we do every day to try to make an improvement, to have a good report of everything that we have in the lab, how it works, everything. And at the end, this is the key success of the exit. You have to have a structural quality design, well organized. You need to process everything and have it under control because it's the only way to improve. And finally, you have to have all the results report monthly to check that everything is fine. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.